Oh, hey everybody. Welcome back. Hey, look, I got a webcam working. This is the first time you've seen my ugly mug on the stream. Let me clean this up a little bit. I'm going to work on, I've got a couple of things I need to work on today. Get rid of this. Oh, let me show you this one first. So I've been working on, I've hired some people to help me work on the game. And one of them was music. And to go along with that, I had some suggestions to change the title screen a little bit. Let me show you that. Pretty happy with that. Looks much more alive than it did, I guess. Thanks, Froggy. Thanks, Da Vinci. Yeah, so like little things like this, they're actually pretty easy to do. All of this stuff here is all just animated. I did it in Ace Sprite here. Oops. Where is it? Right, so all this stuff, it's just all animated, right? That. There's one particle system here in the game. You can see these little particles kind of flying through. So that's just one little small particle system. The rest of it's animated. This is where the heck is it? Let me stop that. That is just this flare. So there's two things going on there. One is this glow, right? And that is just this round sprite. It's got a color on it, and it does this canvas item material with add mode. That's it. If you switch it to mix, let me move it back. If you switch it to mix, see, it doesn't glow as much. It doesn't brighten things up as much. But if you switch it to add, it looks like a light, right? And it's the same thing with this guy. It's just a sprite. And that thing also has add mode, right? If I change it to mix, you can see it just kind of looks gross. And then in the there's script here in the process, I just tweak the scale. This is the glow scale. That's the flare scale. So the flare is like going, it's scaling out horizontally. The glow is scaling out in a circle, just symmetrically in both directions. And anyway, the upshot is it's pretty simple, but it looks cool. I think it looks cool. Game Dev ASMR. You make me think that I'm putting people to sleep. Hey guys, everybody say hey to Droopy. Droopy Music is the musician who created this title track. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Let me see. I've done a lot of stuff since the last time I had a test, a demo. And one of the things that has come up, or that we've accomplished since the last demo, was I hired my friend Peter, who created a bunch of levels for me. And one thing that we want to do is do another test, obviously, right? So I'm putting the finishing touches on those levels, and I'm thinking another demo will be released maybe, I'm not going to say a day, soon, very, very soon. So come join the Discord, go to gravityace.com, come join my Discord. If you're interested in helping test it, you can sign up to be a test pilot. There are only a couple slots. I'm not guaranteeing you're going to get one, but come drop by, and we'll see what we do. That's where I'll announce it and get some participants and lay out kind of the feedback that I'm looking for. And hopefully soon, maybe a week, maybe a little more. I don't know. You know, nobody knows what deadlines are anymore, right? I don't know what day it is anymore. Yeah, so that demo will be coming soon. Today, though, I just want to work on a couple of things. Some of them are simple, some of them are not as simple. I think we're going to do the simple ones first. These are some tasks I got from some testing, some internal testing. Some of them are actionable and some of them aren't. They're just opinions, but I haven't decided what I'm going to do with these yet. But I'm going to do this one and this one today. These are both, this one's more functional. This one's more just visual polish. Nice thing about having help on the game, making levels and music and stuff, is that it frees up some time for me to actually work on, polish, which is the part that I like to do. And, actually changing mechanics and that sort of stuff. So this first one, adding a signal to change the rotation direction of laser gates. So we've got laser gates in the game. Let me see. This thing, right? And it rotates like this in the game. But there is a direction, right? So in the editor, you can say, I want it to rotate clockwise or counterclockwise. And the thing that I want to do is add a signal to it in the editor so that you can script it, right? So it can change direction depending on something that happens in the game. So I need to figure out. Yeah, exactly, right? Hey, Peter, if you're watching this, send me your W-9. So the first thing I have to do when I add a new feature like this in an area that I haven't worked on in a while is remember how it works. So, do I need these? I can't remember. This is a cargo platform. I think I do. I was just telling some friends last night that I'm a terrible programmer and you shouldn't do what I do. Hey, Max. For some reason, when you said collect W9, for some reason I thought you were Javi. But you're Max. And I thought for sure, you would be watching Jonathan Blow's stream right now. Isn't he doing one tonight where he's like... Well, I'm flattered. Even if you're watching me in a tiny window and you're watching him in the main window, that's fine. I'm still flattered. I don't think I need those. I think I need cargo box. I'm just trying to find how I implemented this on another thing, and I'm just going to copy it. Yeah, that's not right. I should probably, well, I mean, part of me is like, you should rewrite this so you don't have to remember all this shit. But I'm not going to rewrite it. It works, and the game's almost done. I'm not going to rewrite it now, so I'm just going to suffer. What has a signal? Oh, I know. These guys have one, right? No. I know. I want waypoint. No, I want beacon. This one. This one has a good one I can copy, I think. Yeah, so I need this trigger function. And I need this trigger list. And I'm going to copy them into my rotating gate. Yeah. Let's call this toggle. And not... yeah, I don't need that. So the way... let me just show you the... well, I guess I can't. Let me delete this real quick so I can show you how this is supposed to work. So if you go into the editor, you can have like an object like oops. You can have an object like why am I blanking out right now? Let's put... God, seriously, I'm like... maybe there's something wrong with me right now. I'm feeling like my brain just stopped working. Let's put this... see, and this has some signals, right? And you can connect those signals to other things. So if we have like the exit, right? So now I can take the thing and I can say when this thing is destroyed, activate this thing, right? So now when this is destroyed, it's going to signal this guy and trigger its activate function. And it does all that through, well, that was weird. It does all that through, what the hell? Now my keyboard is betraying me. It does all that through these guys. So when a signal, this in the editor, this if this function exists, then it knows it returns this list of codes that other entities can trigger. This one will only have one, just we'll call it toggle. And then when the signal happens, it actually calls this trigger method with that code. And then the gate will do the thing, whatever it's supposed to do. So in this case, it's going to be to change the rotation. And to do that, I need another variable because this one is the editor, like the default. This is the value that the user specified. Here's the starting direction for this thing. But I need another one for like the way it's currently going. So we'll do that. And then we'll do this. We'll call it set direction. And we'll add a function here, set direction value, and we'll say clockwise equal value and direction equals value. All right, so now whenever this variable changes, it's going to change this and this in sync. That should take care of it when it first comes in. Now it's a Boolean though. See, I always come into these things thinking, oh, this will be easy. And then it ends up being just way more work than I wanted it to be. All right. I should rename this podcast, this stream, Watch John Suffer. Don't want to change that. Let's just change the name of this to that. Right? And then I can change all these to is clockwise. Right? So if it's clockwise, it's going to go that way. If it's not clockwise, it's going to go the other way. And then in here in trigger, I can just say is clockwise equals not is clockwise. Will that work? Yeah, I think that should work. I feel like I'm missing something. Let's try and see what happens. Let's turn off the music. Turn my sound back on here. Go to the editor. And then let's do a button. Let's do some ground first, right? Let's draw some landscape. And then we'll do a gate. It's rotating lasers. Chunk. Oh, that's pretty cool. And then we'll put a button. Where's my button? Put a button here. And then we'll say when the button is opened, we will connect it to you. Yeah, see? Toggle. It's the only function it has. And when it closes, that's fine. We'll just leave it. So every time you press the button, it should toggle it. If I've done this correctly. Let's try and see. So it's going counterclockwise, and if I push the button, oh, it worked. And if I push it again, it should go back the other way. All right. So the problem here is my button is too far away, and I can't see what I'm doing. Let me put the button here, and block that off. Counterclockwise, clockwise. Flawless. Look at that, I got it right in the first try. Swish, nothing but net. Oh, that was an awkward voice. I like a glove. I'm glad we have some Ace Ventura fans in the audience. I'm reloading this because it felt like... Was this thing? No, that's right. I thought for a second it was going the wrong way. But that's clockwise. And now it's counterclockwise. And now it's clockwise again. Alright. Alright. That works. Commit. Added trigger for rotating for toggling direction of rotating laser beams. All right. Ba-boom. All right, that's one down. Make dust only get kicked up from thrusters. All right, so here's another one. This is a suggestion, and I'm going to try this out just to see how it works. This is a suggestion from a friend, and his thought was that he thought the what do you call it? Hold on. John, no good at thinking and doing at the same time. Talking and doing at the same time. Clear all this stuff out. So he thought the dust that gets kicked up when you're flying around is cool. But he felt like it would be even more immersive if it only kicked up as if, it was being affected by your thrusters. So right now, just anytime you're close, right, it gets kicked up. See all this dust? Right? And it's on both sides. It's just all around, right? It's like, I don't know, I was imagining it like there's some kind of magnetic field or electrical field or something from the shield, being emanated from the ship that just kicks up all this dust, right? It's not air. We're in space, right? So it's some kind of magnetic field or something. But he thought it'd be cool, what if it only kicked up from the actual thruster itself? Wherever the thruster was hitting would be where the dust gets kicked up. I thought, that's cool. I could try that. So I want to try that. So again, to do that, step one is figure out how the dust works, because it's been so long since I worked on the dust that I literally can't remember how it works. I know it's in here. Pretty sure it's in here. There it is. Oh, look, it's its own scene. Okay. So there's a particle system, a dust particle system. And I'm probably just moving it around, but it's called dust, so it should be easy to find. Yeah, cast dust rays. Oh, it's coming back to me. It's coming back to me. How does this work? Oh, I see. All right, so what's happening here? Increase this a little bit so you guys can see a little better. Is there's a function, a method here called cast dust rays that's being called in the physics process. I'm calling it in the physics process because I'm passing in the physics state. You can get the physics state like this for 2D. I don't know about 3D. But what this does basically is it just says, give me the state of the physics simulation that's happening in the game right now. And you only want to do that, and you only want to manipulate it in the physics step, which is this physics process. This is I think in Unity they call it fixed process. It's the physics simulation step. So it calls cast dust rays, passes in that state, and then what it does is it uses that state to create a ray cast. It basically just does a ray from the ship's position out 100 units and then rotates it by, it does 10 casts in a circle around the player. And then wherever it collides, if it makes contact with a wall, then it shows some dust. It unhides the dust scene, sets its emitting to true because it's a particle system. It makes it start emitting there, and puts its position at the contact position, wherever that ray intersected a wall. And then it rotates it based on the contact normal. The normal is it's like the vector that's perpendicular to the surface of the wall at that contact point. And then, I don't know what this is. Dust distance? Oh, it's, okay, so it's passing in the distance to that contact point into the dust scene, because probably, I'm guessing the dust scene, see, it does something with the distance. See, it looks like I was doing something where it was like, if the distance is very far, then it would be a very little amount of dust, and if it was very close, it would be a lot more dust. But it looks like I commented that out. If I were a rich man. Da, 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 da. The ship can be landed. I actually had a, I was going to build in a landing pad originally. It's this thing. I never did any art for it because it never went anywhere, but I did have all kinds of code in here for doing a whole lunar lander type simulation where you had to land with the correct orientation and, you know, come down with a small enough velocity that you didn't destroy yourself. But I never really took it much further because it's not really a lander game, and, you know, I don't know. I just moved on to other things. It didn't become a priority. I think at some point maybe landing would be cool still, but I kind of, the way it works now is you can, as long as you're going slow enough, you can land pretty safely, even without the shield. You can still impact things. The shield came on. But if you're going too fast, you're gonna crash and burn. Oh yeah. Thanks, Verbal. Independence Day style alien ship, we have to kamikaze into the belly when it opens up to fire. Yeah, for sure. And you'll have to say things like, I've got tone. I've got a lock. Fox 1, Fox 2. They said that in that movie, right? Oh, it missed. Their shields. Hey, Spherus. Welcome, everybody. You party of 5. How was, Sirius has been playing a lot of City Skylines lately. How's City Skylines? Did you figure out your subway problem? Camaro transfer. Oh yeah, that would be cool. That's an original idea. I don't think I've ever heard of anything like that before. That would work well with this game too, because you know, I can't afford any voice acting, so he wouldn't be able to talk. All right, so what was I doing? Right, trying to figure out how to do this raycast thing, so it's only at the point where the thrust is happening. So there's a couple ways I could do that. Right now, what's happening is I'm casting dust rays constantly in the physics step, and it's just going around in a circle. It's doing 10 casts in a circle. And, oh, actually, it's doing it randomly. Oh, that's interesting. So it does 10 ray casts randomly. Okay, past John. That's a fine decision. It looks okay. Yeah, I approve of it. You did a good job, John. Past me. So I could do a couple of different ways. One would be to actually simulate the thrust. I'm actually kind of already doing that. There's this exhaust thing. It actually shoots out little invisible particles, and those particles have a shader on them that distorts anything that they cover. There's a screen space shader, and it gives you that kind of wavy, like heat wave effect when you're near other objects, which is cool. And I could piggyback on that, and whenever those particles hit a wall, also kick up some dust. But I think first what I want to try is just keep this system where I'm casting these dust rays and just restrict it to the direction that to the opposite direction that the ship is thrusting in, right? So I still want to, yeah, let's do it like this. So if, see, this is why you asked, isn't it, Max? Because I have this old dead code in here that doesn't do anything. Let's do this. If thrusting, okay, if I was thrusting last frame, this is something I have that was, some other code has this. It's doing this somewhere else. I don't even know. But I have it. And it's true if the player was thrusting in the last frame. So that means the thruster's on. If I'm thrusting, if the engine's on, then I want to do this. Basically, I want to do this here, but just once, right? And this will be rotation plus 2 pi? No, plus pi. So this is radians, and pi corresponds to 180 degrees. So it's going to rotate this vector in the same direction the ship is rotated, but then add 180 degrees, so it'll come out the back. Thanks, Max. And then and then this is all the same, right? So if it makes contact with the wall, it's going to put the dust there, and it's going to start emitting dust. Otherwise, it's not. And in fact, I should do that here too. No doubt there's a cleaner way to do this. Let's do, I think probably that's all I need. So I think that would work. Let's see. It goes well. How are you? You getting something to eat, Spheris? I was wondering how you were doing with your subway problem in Skylines. Nice. Alright, so if I did this right, dust should only get kicked up when the engine's on, and it should only get kicked up behind the ship. Yeah, so I didn't do it right. It's not working. Oh, it did something over there. Oh, maybe it is working. Oh, no. Look, it's like off to the side of the ship. The angle's wrong. heck is it doing? What the heck is it doing? Maybe. Should be at this contact position. It's intersecting, it's shooting a ray from where I am. Out 100 on the x-axis, rotated by rotation of the ship. Let's take that off, just see. And then if it makes a connection with the wall, then it should be putting it right at the contact position of the wall. Let's see. That's interesting. So see, it's off to the side. It's working. It's just off to the side. It's 90 degrees off. And I think that's because... It's got to be because there's just something weird with the ship, right? So the ship is this way. This is the part I hate about game development, right? Like, I like programming. I'm good at it. But this kind of stuff, I wish I could just tell the computer, hey, computer, you know, fix it. And it would just do it. Let's see. That's not rotated. Maybe there's something about this. I can't remember. That doesn't look right, but I think it's going to get the right result. Yeah. It's close. It does kick up dust in places where it probably shouldn't, so I think I need a turn off here. I do need this. That. Add some fuel. So now when you go through here, it's not going to kick up any dust until you do that. I don't know, what do we think? Is that more immersive? Like the engines, right? They're like you can feel it burning the surface of the asteroid. Ship it, huh? I kind of do like it. I kind of like it the other way too, though. You know, just because there was more of it. But that looks pretty cool. I think what I need to do to really sell it is I need to make more dust. More dust. Let's do that. Oh yeah, now we're talking. And I need to do another thing. So if you notice right there, see it, all the dust just kicked up from that one spot. I need some randomness in there. It still bothers me that this is pi over 2, and it's fine. I don't care. It's just a side effect of the way I have everything transformed in here. Like this is a certain orientation, and this is a certain orientation, and just pi over 2 is just what happens to work with everything rotated the way it is in the editor. Yeah. So I don't care. I'm gonna pretend like I don't care about that. And in 15 minutes, I'm gonna forget about it anyway. But I do want to add some randomness here. So let's do random offset, right? And that random offset will be something like pi over, 8. Something like that, right? Because what? Pi over 2 is 90, pi over 4 is 45, pi over 8 is 22 degrees. That's too much. Let's go 16. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, see, that's more spread out. Maybe pi over 8 would have been better. Trust your gut, John. Yeah, that looks better. All right, so it's like just a bigger effect now. Maybe it's too much dust. I do like the lifetime, but I think I'm going to turn down the number of particles again. Yeah, that's cool. Inverse squared. I know that's how light and sound works, right? Is that how thrust force works as well, do you think? Thrust force falls off with as the inverse square of the distance? Maybe. Because it's the same there from that distance as it is here, right? Come on, nobody's going to notice that detail, right? All right, and then a quick frame rate check. Oh, 60. I mean, that's good. I was hoping. I must have VSync turned on. Yeah. Let's try that with the VSync turned off and see what our frame rate is. Just as a test, I like to check it every once in a while just to make sure I don't need to optimize anything. I hate wasting cycles on optimizing stuff if I don't have to. Yeah, look at that. 800. And when the dust kicks up, 700, 760. It's fine. That's good enough to ship. Max. Yes. If I do change the rotation to be aligned with the nose of the ship later, and then it would break my dust effect, but I mean, I'm hoping somebody would notice. I'm hoping I would notice, right? If I did that, I would play it, and then I would notice it, and then I would add another pi over 2 until it worked right again, right? let's be optimistic. Let's be optimistic, Max, and pretend like that won't ever happen, okay? And just to show you how optimistic I am, I'm going to commit it. What is this? Why did that change? Oh. See, I wish it didn't have all this noise. Whatever. So there's my dust. There's my ship. This scene registered a change because there's an animation running in the rotating gate scene, and the frame number changed. So I can just delete that. I don't need it. And this one changed just because I loaded that scene. And this new version of Godot has, like, I don't know, it wanted to delete the space. Whatever. I'm going to throw that away too. And this was the change I just made to VSync, and I'm going to throw that away too, because I don't need it. This is the change that I made to the dust. I changed the amount of particles, I changed the lifetime, and I changed this functionality here. Oh, and I should delete that. We don't need to keep comments around. Nobody needs old comments. Let's delete that. Let's delete that. So if you're new to source control, this is why I recommend doing it. This is one of the reasons I recommend doing it. Is you can always go back. Like if you make a change and broke something, you can always go back to a version that you didn't break, right? That worked. That's nice, and you can then compare the version that is broken to the one that's not broken and figure out where the break happened. You can also do stuff like just deleting the code that you don't want anymore. A lot of people will they'll do this, right? They'll comment out the code and write new code thinking, oh, this way, if I ever need this code again, I can just come back to it. It's here, it's safe. But you don't need it. Just delete it. It's in source control. If you need it back, you can just go back to that version in source control. And I'm going to change this comment. Now I can commit it. I still don't want that one. Right? So your source control, if I ever wanted to go back to the old version, I still have it. It's just in my source control system. It's a terrible commit log message. I'm glad I have your guys' support. All right. Look at that. 2 down. I don't think I'm going to do this one. So I kind of already did. I kind of already did. Beam up hologram indicators to fuel barrels, reactor cores, that sort of thing. So I already had them. But I made them more obnoxious, right? I added these arrows, these blinking arrows. So when you're playing now, hopefully you really notice when there's something in range that you can beam up. Like those things. Why didn't it? There it is. Right? That's pretty obnoxious and unmissable, right? That's the signal that it's in range to beam up. And if you had 2 of them, you might have multiple of them in range, but only one is the one that's going to be targeted. So this one, see there's 3 in range, right? But only one is the one that's going to be beamed up. Like that one. See, both of those are in range, but only one is going to get beamed up. So that's the signal to the player to know that they can beam this thing. Yeah, so I think that's fine. That's done. That's done. 3 down. Yeah, I don't know what the... I mean, they do blink pretty fast. It's just 1 frame on, 1 frame off, and the game's running at 60. So it goes through a blink cycle 30 times a second. And that also happens to be probably what I'm streaming at, or trying to stream at. So it's possible that you would not see it blinking, or it would look a little glitchy on the stream. Yeah. Too much blinky. Yeah, you know what? I go back and forth between, like, I mean, honestly, I'm a minimalist. Like I told you last night, I'm a minimalist. And I like things to be very clean and very, simple. Believe it or not. But, like at Ambitious Ales, right? Every time we went to one of those things, people would like, oh, I didn't notice that. I didn't see that. Oh, I didn't even realize that was happening. These are the comments, right? So it's like, oh, I have to be more obnoxious. I have to make the score much bigger. I have to add all these things, right? Just so people notice them. But, I end up liking it. I like the way the game's going, the direction it's taken. It's just different. That's all. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, you can definitely probably spend a lot of time, like, oh shoot. I just realized that all the chat and everything is not on where I was streaming. Well, that's a bummer. Hold on, I'm going to copy this. One day, I'll know what I'm doing. All right, I think chat will now be in the stream. Yeah, no, that's true. You don't need players to notice things the first time they play. Yeah, that's true. It's like they'll, if they play it a second time, a third time, they'll notice more stuff, right? And maybe that's a maybe that's a feature, right? Like it's a it gives some measure of delight to the game, right? To be able to notice new things every time you play it, I guess. I don't know. I think maybe that'll happen anyway. But for right now, I also think you could go through like a analysis paralysis, right? Like you're trying to decide how quickly something blinks, and you're just tweaking it and tweaking it and tweaking it for hours and hours and hours. And then that ends up being something that people don't care about, right? I don't know. The player doesn't care how fast it blinks. They don't care if it blinks at all. Maybe, I don't know. So I think sometimes those things matter and sometimes they don't. And it's not clear to me how to tell the difference. I'm just going with my gut here. What should I work on next? Missile launchers. Missile launchers are too bullet spongy. They're tedious. This was a comment. I think I agree. So when I put the missile launchers in originally, they shot out a few missiles and then they would stop. And then the missile launcher itself was indestructible. And I thought, try it that way. Then I changed it to be the missiles come out forever, but you can destroy the launcher. And then the launcher was like, okay, but it has to be, you want it to be able to launch 2 or 3 missiles before you blow it up, right? So I gave it more hit points basically, but I think I gave it too much. Let me play one real quick with that, and then we'll play around with the number of hit points until it feels better. So I'll put a missile launcher here. Delete all this stuff. All right, so there's my missile launcher. And right now, you have to hit it a lot. There it goes. So it got three off, but it did take a lot of shooting. So let's try it with... what would that be? 33% less? Let's see how that feels. I mean, still got 3 off. I kind of... I don't know. Let's simulate a better combat situation here, where we've got a couple of different enemies shooting at you at the same time. Would that be too difficult for a beginner? Let's go down to 15. This is 50% of what it was before. I should have just said 2. Let's make some big changes and just see how that feels. See, that's obviously not enough. That's too easy. So 2 is clearly too small. And if we go to 10... Ten's okay. It only got to shoot 1. I think that feels okay. So if you can just hammer the thing, it might only get off 1 or 2 shots, maybe 2 shots, if you can hammer it. If you can't because you're distracted, so it got off 2. If you can't because you're distracted by other things going on, then it might shoot more. You kind of do want to prioritize killing them, because otherwise they'll just keep shooting at you. And those things can be annoying. There's a bunch of them. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with that. That feels okay to me. It feels better than it did before. I don't know if it's perfect, but it feels better. A little bit of progress at a time is fine. Better is good. So let's see. That was this guy. Yeah, 30 to 15. Maybe tweak the fire rate a little. Yeah, maybe. Are you thinking increase it or decrease it? It kind of does have a like built-in fire rate limit because it'll shoot 3 missiles, and then once if there are 3 in the air, it won't shoot anymore until those 3 are gone, or until there's less than 3 in the air. Maybe. I'll consider it. Increase and then lower the damage. Maybe. Maybe. That might actually be a different kind of enemy. Maybe I'll have a missile launcher that just shoots like 3 or 4 like cluster missiles all at once. And then they'll impact and then shoot another cluster. I'm going to put that down as an idea. Verbal Shadow suggested increasing the fire rate and lowering the hit points of the launcher. That might be a good new enemy type that shoots a cluster of missiles all at once. Thanks. All right, I'm gonna see if we have time for one more. Nope. Nope. So this one was a comment from a playtester. Oh, that's interesting. Reduce the launch speed, make it so you can only destroy it while it's launching. That would make it kind of like the clamshell enemies that I have now, where you can only kill them when they're open, and then when they close, they're invulnerable. I like that too. I do like that. Where did my idea go? Did it just disappear? Seriously? New missile launchers. Idea. Why didn't this save? I'm using Notion. Notion.so. It's a cool, it's like a wiki. But it's got all these cool things in it. It's got like database tables like Airtable. It's got, what do you call them? Kanban boards. It's free. The shadows suggested be increasing fire rate and lowering hit points. Maybe think of a new enemy type, cluster missile launcher. Slady TV suggested reducing the launch speed and making it so you can only destroy the launcher when it is open. like the clamshell enemies. All right. That should... Oh, I know why it didn't. See, this is me again being a doof. It's because I made it an idea. Delete. And this is only showing devlogs. I want everything. See all these ideas? All right. This is just ideas for the game that are not going to make it into the... and they're not going to make it... Most of these ideas aren't going to make it into the initial launch. There's just too many. But I'm hoping I can do a lot of them in early access. We'll see. I mean, there's just a bunch of stuff in here. Some of these things are... There's bugs in here, but like, I mean, that one's a cool one. Tractor beam is a grappling hook. I was thinking like you could have attachment points on the walls and you could connect to it and maybe it would help whip you around corners or move you through areas more quickly. Maybe you could just attach to a grapple point and just hang there and just rest for a little while. I was thinking, you know, another type of laser beam emitter that kind of does this thing, like two of them making an X kind of a pattern. Falling rocks, proximity mines, homing mines, little hidden secret areas, like you could go into a wall and it would reveal a hidden cave. That could be cool. Anyway. Lots of stuff. So this was a comment from a playtester. Several comments. And they were talking about carrying the reactor core out of the level. And lugging this thing is the least fair thing about the game. Feels like I have no control. It's controlling you. You're not controlling it. I think these comments are all coming from a place of... I don't know. The thing is heavy. The reactor core is heavy. Yeah. Just pure hate. No, I mean the thing is heavy, right? And in this physics-based game, I can see how someone could feel like it is a little unfair because the control isn't as precise, you know, as something like, you know, I don't know, it's like Super Meat Boy, right? Super Meat Boy, nothing against Super Meat Boy, but you can control yourself while you're in the air. You can time exactly how far you're going to jump, you know, control dashing and all that stuff. You have very, very, very precise control over your character. In this game, not only do you not have super precise control, especially as a beginner player, you have a lot of forces acting on your ship at the same time. You've got gravity, you've got things exploding and pushing you, you've got steam vents, you've got your engines accelerating you against your own inertia. And then on top of that, you add in this tractor beam and a reactor core, and the reactor core is heavy. I think it's 2 or 3 times as heavy as the ship. And when things are... What was that? I think that was a new follower. Yeah. I should say hello and thank you to my new followers. Crikey, McLovin, Kenshi Bud, thank you very much for following me. I think you guys put me over the 50 followers mark. Yeah. I got 51 followers now, guys. Woohoo! Thank you, sincerely. Weight doesn't actually. Hey, thank you, Slady. Weight doesn't mean anything in space, but mass does, right? So inertia is still a thing. Changing, like if you're in space and you're orbiting something, right? You're flying around. You're going to feel weightless. But if you try to change the direction of that thing, if you try to change the direction that the thing is moving in, depending on how big it is, how massive it is, it's going to take more energy to move it. Small things are easy to move, and big things are harder to move, to change their velocity. Right? That's just that's physics, Newtonian physics 101. An object in motion stays in motion, object at rest stays at rest. So that's inertia. And inertia is something that in a lot of games people aren't used to. And especially for a beginner player who's not as skilled, at all this type of game and maybe the maneuvers you're doing, I get it. This could definitely feel a little unfair. But I don't think I'm going to do anything about it. At least not yet. I'm going to note it. I'm going to move it to my completed. And I'm just going to keep an eye on it. If I start, if I get a lot of people complaining about this, maybe I'll reduce the weight. I'll reduce the mass of the reactor core. Maybe I'll boost the power of the engines. I don't know. There's lots of different things that I could do to address this. There's a limit, though, of course, because, at some point, it is a game about pulling a reactor core out of a gravity well and on a tractor beam that rotates around you, right? I'm not going to change that core thing. So there's a limit to how much I can make this easier without, ruining the core experience, right? I got to stay true to Gravity Ace. So I don't know. This is one data point. They're valid concerns. I'm not going to do anything about them right now except note them and see if other players and testers have a similar complaint or experience. Oh, here's an easy one. Let's do this easy one. The only thought you've had about the reactor control is to have manual control over the rigidity of the beam. Manual control over the rigidity of the beam. Do you mean like you would like to be able to push a button and have the beam be springy instead of rigid? Or to control the length of it or something like that? What do you mean, Max? And while you're collecting your thoughts, so this full screen button, there's a button in the menu to toggle full screen, and when you're in full screen, it still says full screen. So I'm gonna change the label when you're full screened to say windowed, and when you're windowed, it'll say full screen. That should be easy. All right, Max. Thanks for nothing. I actually went back and forth on it. The original. So, in case some of you don't know, the original game, Thrust, or Gravity Ace, is based on an old game called Thrust, which was based on an old game, a bunch of old games. Right? There's a whole genre of these games, these gravity shooter games, of which mine will be the most recent edition. But in Thrust, the tractor beam was elastic up until the point where it got to its full length, and then it became rigid, like a bar, like a steel bar, yeah? And I just emulated that, right? That game was my design document for this game. And so I kept that same functionality. But I did think about, what if I made it springy so it never really got fully rigid? I experimented with the length of it. Maybe I should make it longer or shorter. And I ended up thinking, I tried out a couple different things, and I ended up concluding that they were all equivalent choices, basically. At least the ones I was making, they were all basically the same. They were just different, but they didn't meaningfully improve on any of the other choices. So I just stuck with the original. Yeah. Rope and a steel beam. That would be neat. That would actually be a cool mechanic where you could like use it. I mean, I do have an idea in here of using it like a grappling hook, and maybe that would tie into this where you could like see the reactor core way, way down, but someplace where you can't reach. So you have to lower your tractor beam down like a hook, right? It goes down, grabs it, and then you have to haul it back up. And then you can fly around with it where it's kind of close to your ship. And then you get to another place where you have to lower it back down again. I could see that being fun. That could be fun. Why are you pulling a reactor core out of a gravity well? Because these are alien reactor cores, man. We gotta win the war, and this is the only way to do it. We gotta steal their reactor cores. They're, obviously. They're, the story is, these are alien reactor cores. They're amazing technology, so they're very difficult for us to make. We don't know how to make them, but we know how to use them. And so we're stealing them from the enemy because they're difficult for them to make too. We're stealing them from them and repurposing them for our own uses, right? And by doing that, we'll accelerate the end of the war that we're currently losing against these terrible, terrible aliens. Yeah, on an ugly asteroid. All right, so I'm going to do this one real quick, and then we'll see where we're at. So that is in my start scene. And there it is. I have a full screen button. And you can't see it here because it's all hidden. There's actually an animation player here that transitions between the menus. Right? That one hides the menu. This is the initial fade in when you first come to the start. This one shows the menu. Right? And this one hides the menu. So, showing the menu, I want to change this label. Toggle full screen, game full screen. Yeah. So, I need to check this. Right? Right. Can I do config get? Yeah. Okay. So I can check here if... Oh, this isn't going to work. Dang it. Why is my life so complicated right now? Yeah, I mean, well, it's not really powering their asteroids, right? It's powering all their technology. I do have a lot of lore about this. Not a lot, but a few. Excuse me, a few paragraphs about this. But it's like their power system, right? It powers all their technology. It powers their bases. It powers all their little ships and their construction fleets and all that stuff, right? And they have one in every one of their bases, and their bases are in these asteroids or planets all scattered throughout the sector. That's all. At the end of the day, my perspective on it is it's cool to have a little bit of a backstory, but at the end of the day, it's a video game, and most people don't care. I think most people aren't going to care like what all the lore is about everything. It's nice to have an explanation, and I think having it in there is, it helps a little bit with the sense of immersion and everything. But at the end of the day, again, this is a small game. It's an arcade game. You're trying to get as many points as you can, and so I'm not trying very hard to be like internally consistent with a fictional universe. I'm not trying to be I'm not spending a lot of time on writing or story, that sort of thing. Maybe my next game. I did try at one point to have a intro scene. You remember that, Max? Axed it. Too much work. All right, so I think if I say if, then I can say button full screen equals dot text. No, that's not right. Button full screen text equals windowed. Else, this is actually the wrong place for this. I'm going to move it in a second. I think I want to put this at the place where the menu actually gets shown. So whenever you show the menu, that's where I want it to happen. Actually, I could just do it here. Let's just do it here just to make it easy, just to see if it works. This process gets run, every frame, so it'll definitely do something. Let's see what happens. Right? And now windowed, and there you go. That works. I kind of don't like having it here though, because it just seems like it's wasteful. So here we say if the menu isn't showing, and they try to do something to show the menu, then show the menu. And when the menu starts to show, that's when I'll do this. I think this should have the same effect. Oh, no, it's not. Right? It won't. Yeah. You know what? I'm going to solve this a different way. I am going to solve this a stupid, simple, different way. Do I even need to solve this? Do I even need to solve this? Let me ask you guys, is it obvious that hitting the full screen button is a toggle? Or is it confusing if you're already full screen for it to say full screen? All right. See, the reason I don't think it'll work here is because something happens when you switch full screen. No, this will work here. What was I thinking? if you look here, you'll see there's a yield. This is like, they're actually changing the name of this in the next version of Godot, but it's like a wait, right? And it's because this changing the full screen can actually take a frame or two. And so I thought checking that wouldn't work because it's doing this await. But in fact, it sets this instantly, even though the screen mode might not have changed yet. So I think this will work. This will be fine. No, see, it didn't work. Why didn't it work? I hate putting these in. But if I put this in and it works, then I'll know it's a weird frame timing bug problem. Nope, it's not that. It's just that I'm a bad programmer. Why doesn't that work there? I mean, maybe my instinct was right. Just put it here. Just be lazy, John. Just be super lazy and just put it there. Thinking of actually just removing it from here, putting it in the options. But then my options screen is getting a little cluttered, a little cramped. If I add another button to this screen, I have to redesign the screen. The checkbox idea is okay, but I don't like. I wouldn't want it here. I don't think I'd want it here because a checkbox here, or radio buttons and letting them choose between one or the other, it just feels out of place here because everything else here is just a button that does a thing. And I don't want to have a different kind of UI on the same screen. I mean, I could have like windowed full screen here. Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm checking every frame. Oops. That's exactly what I'm doing right now. Right. This is in process. This runs every frame. It turns out it doesn't immediately change the variable. And I think it's because this config variable... Oh, you know what? I can use a different variable, though. I think I have a... No. That won't work. Because I was thinking, I do have another variable, right, in this method here. There's this variable, and there's this variable. Maybe this one. No, see, I don't think either one of these gets set immediately. I think what happens is when you change these, it does something in the engine to actually change the screen mode, and then the variables get changed when the mode changes. And if the mode doesn't change, it doesn't change the variables right away. I don't know if it's a bug or what, but that's just the way it works. And that's why I have this await here. It waits one frame after it does this before it exits back out, just to make sure it happens. And I mean, so anyway, and I don't want to add another variable. Yeah, I don't want to add another variable. So I just put it here to just check every frame what the text should be. I guess it's possible it would, if you try to switch it full screen, it might not sometimes. I don't know what those conditions might be, but you know, like I guess I could imagine like you're trying to change the mode of the screen or the window to full screen, but maybe they have some kind of weird window manager that is not allowing it, or I don't know, maybe they got some kind of weird ultra wide monitor with some weird software on it that makes stuff go in the corner instead of full screen. I don't know. There's probably reasons why it could happen that I don't know about. I'm ignoring all that stuff right now. Basically, I'm not trying to understand the problem. I'm just trying to get something that works. And this works because I don't want to, I also don't want to, I just don't have time to go file bug report and have a discussion with anybody about it. At least not today. Maybe I'll do something like that at some point. But in fact, I'm sure, I'll bet you this has probably come up a bunch of times already. People are like, hey, I toggled the full screen, but it takes a couple frames and the variables don't get updated. And, you know, I just don't want to, I'm just tired. I don't want to look through that stuff right now. So this works. This works, but I don't like it. And I think I would have to do the same thing. I would have to do the same thing on the pause screen. And I don't mind, well, I do mind, but here I don't mind it as much as I would mind it on the pause screen, because on the pause screen the game is actually running. Although it's paused. I feel like there's something tugging at the corner of my brain saying there's a better way. And I just need to think about it a little bit. Yeah, I agree with you, Slady. The issue, though, and I tested it a minute ago, is if I put this code, right, it's getting this config variable for full screen. If it tests it here, it doesn't work. And the only reason that would be true is that these variables, even though I'm setting them immediately, right? I say go to full screen, or this one actually says go to not full screen, and this one's go to full screen. Even though it's setting this variable go to full screen, and it says true, at this line right here, it was not true. And the only reason I can think that that would be the case is that when you set this config, it actually takes a frame or two before the config actually changes. So I would need to introduce some new kind of global variable to track internally when I think it's full screen or not, which would probably be fine, but it's a new variable and I don't want to do that. And it's also possible in some weird universe that I would think it's full screen, but it's not full screen. And so it'd be out of sync and it would be reported as a bug. And I don't want to deal with that either. And I can't just, so the button's a toggle, right? So I have to check. After I say toggle to full screen, I have to check if I toggled it to full screen, then change it to window. And if I didn't toggle it to full screen, do it to this. But the problem is that this variable doesn't seem to be getting set right here. So this would happen in one frame, or in the same frame. You would toggle it, you push the button, the input happens, this does its thing, and then it checks. And this is all within one frame. The same frame is when this all runs. And for some reason, even though I've changed the variable here, it's not picking it up here. And again, I think that's just because it takes a frame or two for the variable to change. In this case, because it's using these singletons, and who knows what these are actually doing under the hood. Hey, welcome. Welcome, welcome. Glad you're here. Welcome to the pain that is watching John try to program. I almost can't believe that doesn't work. Let me try it again, just to make sure that I'm not doing it wrong. So when I toggle, right, I toggle the full screen. If it's full screen, then change the button to windowed. And if it's not full screen, change the button to full screen. And this does set those variables. If it's not full screen, it sets that. And if it is full screen, it sets that. So this should work. This should change to windowed. But it doesn't. But I'll bet if I put a yield here and wait a frame, I bet it'll work now. Actually, I won't bet. I don't know if it'll work. Yeah, it didn't. It just doesn't work there. And it's because that switch to full screen is doing something weird. Doing that switch to full screen and doing this stuff is just doing something weird. And I don't know what it's doing exactly. Yeah. See, it's just doing something strange. So I'm not going to bang my head against that wall anymore. I'm just going to do that. Call deferred. That's interesting. Call deferred, for those of you that don't know, is a little function that basically waits until there's some idle moment in the game to call the method. It just says, call this when you have a sec. So to use that for this, let's see, let's try it. That's a good suggestion. We're going to try it. we're going to do... So first I need a method here. We'll do change full screen button text. We'll do that, right? And then here we'll say call deferred, right? Like that. Let's see. Nope. So weird. So weird. I don't understand what's happening. But if I put it in process here, it seems to work. It seems that way, doesn't it? It's weird. I don't think I do. Yeah, see, it's just those. Let's see if we have better luck in the pause scene. This has the same sitch. Pause, show, unpause. You know what I could do? No. What could I? Pause, unpause. Unhandled input. See, I don't even have a process in here. Well, let's just add one. And then let's do this. And this is going to be different, right? This one, I want to say, when does this scene process? This one, if not, so if the game's not paused, it won't do anything. If the game's paused, then it's going to try to update this text. It seems so clunky. I hate it. Yeah, I'm checking the config setting. Is there something wrong with the config setting? I could change it to the other variable and see if that works. So that's the main menu. And if I go into the editor and play one of these levels, Then I've got the pause menu, right? So that works. Checking the config setting. Yeah, I'm checking the config setting. Let's try the other variable. I should have checked that first. What is the variable? It is this one. Right? And then in here, right? And we can do that. And we can do that. Let's see. It didn't work. It didn't work. See, two different variables that aren't getting updated. I give up. I'm just changing it back. Changing it back to what worked. So this works. Actually, let me change that. I'm going to keep that. And then here, I'm going to keep that. Right, so this should work. Go full screen, go windowed. Go full screen, open the editor, start a level, play it, pause. Go windowed, go full screen. Go windowed, go full screen. All right. I believe the core Godot engine is written in C++. There is a version of Godot you can develop your scripts in C# if you want. Let me show you that. So if you go to godotengine.org and you go to the download page, there's a couple different versions you can download. This is the standard version, and this is the mono version with C# support. So you download this guy, and then instead of writing your scripts in GDScript, you'd write them in C#. And what most people do is, just like with Unity, a lot of people set up their whole C# toolchain, whatever, using Visual Studio Code or whatever, and do the coding in Visual Studio and compiling and all that jazz. I don't actually know exactly how all that works because I don't do it that way. I use GDScript because GDScript is great, and I don't need to compile anything. I don't need to get out of this editor. I can just do everything in one place and hit F5 and it runs. So I'm letting Godot be my tool chain, right? Instead of having to set up this C# mono whatever. But I hear good things about it. People do use it. I know some people are developing, and a cool thing about Godot too is you can basically bring any language you want to it. So I know people that are developing their Godot games using C++. I know people who are using Rust. I think there are some Golang bindings for GDScript or for Godot that you can use. You can go in Godot, and you can use C#. I mean, if you wanted to, you could probably use Lisp if you wanted to. You could probably program your Godot game in Emacs and Lisp. But I don't know how to do any of that. There's tutorials and help files on the Godot website to explain it all. I just use GDScript. Yeah, I mean, I think in some of the benchmarks I've seen, but you take benchmarks with a grain of salt, right? Some depends on the benchmark. But in general, I would expect C# to be a little bit faster. The benchmarks I've seen doesn't show it's significantly faster. It's like twice as fast, maybe. It's not like it's not like an order of magnitude faster or anything like that. It's a little faster. If you really want the best speed, you want to write in C++ and just modify the engine directly. That'll probably give you the best performance. But there's lots of reasons to use a different language. Just use what you're comfortable with. That's the main thing. If you're only concerned about performance, I would say test your game first and see if the performance matters. Computers are so fast these days. It's hard to. It's pretty easy to write bad code and it still runs fine. Anyway, that's been my experience. All right, so that is. I don't know if I want this. That's okay. Let's do that. So that's okay. And this one. Let's do that. Yeah, that's okay. And then do I need this? Yeah, let's take that. All right. Changed full screen toggle button text. Oops. What just happened? Oh. Okay. Boom. All right, folks. I think that's going to do it for tonight for me. Very productive, actually, and I appreciate the help from everybody. Like I said, I'm probably going to be doing another beta test soon. So go to gravityace.com, come join my Discord. There's a link to the Discord on there. There's a few spots open for more test pilots. No guarantees, but I should have been wearing this the whole time. No guarantees, but if you come to gravityace.com, come join the Discord, hang out, and that's where I'll announce the upcoming beta test where you can test all the new levels. And I'm kind of putting some finishing polish on some of that stuff. And then, I'll be fixing some bugs based on that, and then hopefully go right into early access very, very soon. I'm very excited about it and putting this game into the next phase, so to speak. And then we'll see what happens. Should be fun. Anyway, gravityace.com. Tell your friends. Wishlist it on Steam. And I'll see you guys all next time. Thanks for stopping by.